Say goodbye to rubbery skin when it comes to your smoked chicken. Today I'm going to show you how to make the best smoked chicken that you've ever had. Today for our smoked chicken thighs, we're going to be using our Gateway drum smoker. I want to run this around 275 to 300 degrees. When I'm lighting this, I usually like to use an outdoor torch. If I get my torch lit and put it right into the middle of these coals, I know after about a minute or a minute and a half, it's going to be right where I want. And once I get about a softball sized amount of coals lit, I know that I'm going to be good to go. Now at this point with your fire, when you're using a drum smoker, you have two options. Number one is going to be to put the lid on and let everything climb up nice and slow. Or number two is going to be to let the oxygen into that fire, keep this lid off, and get everything nice and hot. That's going to be around 300 to 350 degree cooking, but today I do want to start a little bit lower, so I'm going to put my lid on now. For our smoked chicken thighs today, we decided that we were going to do a 5-hour brine with our trifecta. That's our multi-purpose blend, and all we did was follow the directions on the bottle. This has been in since around 1 o'clock, and all we want to do is get it out of that brine, and we want to start patting it dry. One of the biggest enemies when it comes to smoked chicken is going to be moisture on your chicken. So what you want to do here is you want to pat it dry, get it as dry as you possibly can. Some people like to wash the brine off. Typically, when it comes to using trifecta, I don't do that because I'm going to also put trifecta on top, but we want to make sure that we pat this extremely dry. So I recommend having a tray with some paper towels laid down. That way when you put your wet chicken on top, it's going to start draining all that excess moisture from the bottom. And then we're just going to go over and we're going to get the top side. And like I said, we want to get this as dry as possible. Once we get the tops nice and dry, I just like to pull the napkin from the bottom, get the moisture that was down there as well, and also pat the bottom side. Now for any smoked chicken, I do like to add a little bit of savory notes there. That's going to be salt, pepper, and garlic. So for that, we're going to use that base. Killer Hogs AP is another great one, and there's a lot of great APs on the market. If you guys want to, you can also just use salt, pepper, and garlic. We're going to start on the back side, and I like to make sure I get a nice and decent coat. And then right on top of our AP, we're going to go over top with trifecta. Like I told you guys just a bit ago, we did use this as our brine as well. It's going to be in the brine, and it's going to be on top of this chicken. You don't have to overdo this. A nice medium coat's going to be perfect. We'll flip everything over. And now I want to make sure I'm getting as much flavor as possible on these thighs. So I do like to pull back the skin, and we'll make sure to hit with our AP right under that skin. One of the things you'll notice on these chicken thighs while we're prepping them and while we're seasoning under the skin is some of that fat that's under there. There's a lot of people that'll take that off, but today we're going to leave it. I do think the fat adds flavor, and I think that part of making good smoked chicken is rendering that fat under that skin. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We need to make sure that we render that fat. If not, you're going to get that rubbery chicken skin that nobody likes, but today on the drum, I think we're going to be able to achieve exactly what we want. The pellet grill actually makes some delicious chicken as well as the oven because of the convection. You have heat going all the way around that chicken consistently at a very consistent temperature, and that's what's going to render that fat and get that skin nice and crispy. So today we're just going to make sure that we render this fat, and that's how we're going to get a really good chicken thigh. Now once we get that base under all the skins, we're going to go right back on top with trifecta. And we've already seasoned the backside pretty well. We've seasoned under the chicken skin, and now we're going on top. So there's going to be plenty of flavor even with just these two rubs. Chicken thighs are all prepped up. This was extremely simple. Let's head outside and get the smoker ready. We're back at our Gateway drum smoker, and it's around 275 degrees. So now I want to add some smoke just so we can make sure that we get our smoked chicken thighs. Now if you guys look closely, this is not a large piece of wood at all. We don't need too much, especially when it comes to poultry. It will soak up that smoke flavor, especially in the beginning, so we don't need too much, and we don't need it to burn very long. I'm going to get this post-soak chunk. I'm going to throw it right in the middle. We're going to put our grate on, and now it's time to put some chicken down. We'll close up our lid. And anytime you put any sort of meat on your drum smoker, it's gonna drop the temps a little bit. So look for this to be around 275 degrees, getting some of that post oak flavor coming through, and we'll continuously check these until they're done. Now this is a very simple cook, but we do wanna make sure that we are gradually rising temps. I want to render that fat, and even though I wanna start low, I wanna get that smoke flavor, I do wanna end a little bit hotter just to make sure that everything is nice and crispy on that skin. It's been right at an hour on our smoked chicken thighs. You can see I'm still getting plenty of smoke. The fat from that chicken is dripping onto those coals. I've talked about that plenty of times. That's gonna bring a lot of flavor. You can see that we've got a good color here on our chicken. So at this point of the cook, what I wanna do is I wanna check on some internal temps. Now, if I had to guess, this chicken is probably either at a safe 165 or very, very close to it. But that does not mean that we're gonna go ahead and pull this. Let's temp one of these thighs here. And you can see we're right at 155 degrees in that thigh. So what I'm gonna do at this point is I'm gonna go ahead and flip these over because I wanna make sure that I fully render the fat on this chicken. We're gonna flip it over. You can see that that heat is already getting a little bit out of control there. It's completely fine. We're gonna put the lid right back on. Now, even though you guys just saw that the chicken was around 155 degrees, which is very close to a safe temp, with that skin on this dark meat, we definitely wanna go further. We wanna make sure that we melt all the fat under that skin so we can get at least a bite through and crispy skin on this chicken. Especially with dark meat, when you take it closer to 190 to 200 degrees, I guarantee you that you're gonna get a much more tender bite. Try it one time and you'll never go back. It's been another 30 minutes on our smoked chicken. We want to take a look and see what our temps are at. We're also hoping to have some beautiful color on the back side of that chicken. And that right there is exactly what I want to see. If you guys can see it in the camera, there's some bubbling going on right there. That's that fat rendering and popping. So everything's looking really good. Let's go ahead and flip these back over. And I can even feel the skin. It feels nice and crispy there. So I just know that we're in a good spot to get some really good smoked chicken today. And while we have this open, we're just going to take a quick temp here. I'm around 187 degrees, and that's gonna be in the smallest thigh there. This one's significantly smaller. So these others should be lagging a little bit, but you can see we're around 183 degrees. That's completely fine. What I'm gonna do now is close my lid back up. And you can see here that my gateway vents are almost completely shut. I'm just gonna go ahead and open these up. What I'm hoping to achieve here is getting a really high heat and the grill flavor on the bottom of that chicken. I do think a backyard chicken, whether it's smoked and or grilled, just needs that backyard flavor. This is something that we've been doing with our competition chicken recently, and we've been having a lot of success, so I do like to implement that into the backyard as well. Each of our thighs is finally hitting right at 200 degrees internal. So we're just gonna go ahead and take everything off. I've got such a beautiful color on this chicken today, and I can feel this skin as I'm grabbing the chicken. It just feels so perfect. That piece right there is for me. I let this chicken rest for about 5 minutes. That's all I could take, but I was afraid to burn my tongue. But now we gotta get right in. If you look at this chicken on the front and the back, it looks out of this world. I can tell you this much, I can feel the skin. It's nice and crispy. We did render that fat. That's gonna be my favorite word of the year, of the decade, of the century. Rendering fat is just so important. If you guys ever wanna talk about it, message me on social media and I'll be glad to go into what I think about rendering fat and why I think it's so important. Anyway, let's take a bite. You have to be able to hear that, right? Tender, juicy, flavorful, incredible. This is quite literally the best smoked chicken that I've ever had. So, you know, we talk about getting better as time goes on when it comes to cooking anything. And I can, from the bottom of my heart and soul, say that this is finally the chicken that I'm looking to achieve. It's about getting that fat melted. It's about getting that little bit of crisp on the bottom whenever you raise the temps in the end. It's about putting the seasoning under the skin. It's about using a good chicken seasoning. If you can't tell how genuinely excited I am to eat this today, I really don't know what to say. This is an incredible recipe. If you guys use your offset smoker for your chicken, that's gonna be fine as well. It's gonna be a little bit closer to convection, kind of like a pellet grill. And like I mentioned, pellet grills are great for chicken. Don't let anybody tell you that if you're using a pellet grill, you're doing it wrong. You're outside, you're cooking good food, and that's all that I could ask for. As always, we really appreciate you guys tuning into this video. Thanks, you seriously gotta go. I'm eating the rest of this chicken all by myself. I think my kids are gonna have to go get McDonald's. We'll see you on the next one. Are you kidding me? So juicy, so tender, steamy, just like you. Steamy and hot, just like you.